Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ride Mechanic channel. How the heck are you doing today? Today's video, wanted to do a quick video. I got this video that I've seen on a different channel here. It is, boy, I can't pronounce the name here, but I'll show a picture of this name because I'm really not sure how to pronounce it, and I will completely butcher it because I butcher normal stuff. So this is going to be really bad as well. But basically, the video I wanted to look at today is titled Roller Coaster Brake Fail During First Test Run.
Now get ready. Here we go.
This is a video that looks like it's been posted several other times, judging by the watermarks. So I wanted to take a look at it and let me know what you guys think. This is... Basically, it's over in China somewhere, I believe. It says, brake failure caused a train to rush out of the station. Let's see, what happens if we click on roller coaster database? This roller coaster is the Sky Dragon from Splendid World Fantasy Land, China. Looks like it's no longer in use, but basically... Roller coaster steel inverted. It's made by Jinma Rides. Suspended roller coaster. XGC 20A. Okay. Basically, this looks like a knockoff Vekoma SLC. They don't really have much rules and copyright stuff that allows them to do that sort of stuff over there. So... let's take a look at this and see what's going on. Definitely a knockoff. First thing you can hear is that the anti-roll backs are making clacking going up the lift hill. Which SLCs, their cam styles, they're virtually silent from the actual Vekoma manufacturer. But you could tell, yeah, this is a knockoff Vekoma. I like the little tail that's hanging off the coaster. They've been doing something, probably trying to pull it or something like that. Or maybe they had it saddled off. Let's see what it does. By the way, this video is 10 years old. Looks like an SLC drop. That's not music. Those are fireworks in the background. That'd be the trim. Yep, that's what happens when a train overshoots the station. So if we go back and look at this video, let's bring this back around. Listen to the brakes when it comes in. Pay very close attention to the air releasing when it comes into the brakes. So I noticed a couple things there. One is that it appears to be a pretty good facsimile of a Vekoma ride. So I imagine they're using the same thing, air pressure to close the bladders and close the brake, and then you just simply release the air to open it. I've run trains around before when the ride was completely broken, and it had very little air pressure in it. Each one of those tanks holds enough air pressure to stop the train. So if you notice on this is like when the train started going in there, you started hearing the brakes going clack, 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 clack as it comes in. But then as soon as it started doing that clack, clack sound, which is the skis hitting the brake fin, as soon as it started doing that, you started hearing in the background behind that, you started hearing psh, 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 which is the brakes opening. Now, I thought, oh, the brake pressure was so low that the valves opened. At the same time, this is a China knockoff, so we can't say it behaves exactly like a Vekoma roller coaster. So realistically, it's probably programming. So realistically, this train probably went around and the air pressure was low, very low, either in the system or at the brake pressure themselves. An actual Vekoma, once it goes over that lift hill into the next block zone, before it does that, it checks the brake pressures in all the brakes into the next brake section. So as it's entering the lift exit area up there, it checks all of its brakes to make sure each one of the brakes has air pressure and every single one is okay. So that you'd say like, okay, I'm like, well, did they override the pressure switches and send it over? Well, again, China knockoff. It probably doesn't have pressure switches on it monitoring the low air pressure. But then what I really noticed is when it hit the brakes, that air opening. Let's go back and see that again. All right, listen to it. You hear the clack, 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 and then right after you hear the psh, psh, psh of the brakes opening. Hear all those brakes? It does the same thing over there. Clack, 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 psh, 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 then the brakes start opening. I'm thinking on this particular one, they had probably the air pressure set too low. It was just a setting inside the brake. So the regulators at the stations were set too low, or maybe the system pressure was too low. And the way they decided to trim this ride normally, it would come into those brakes, and then probably after it got 2 or 3 brakes deep, it started opening the brakes in sequence after it, which is one way to prevent the hard stop. On an SLC, when all the brakes are set at the same pressure, you come in there, and then if you think about it, the brakes take off 10% per brake, let's just say. Well, you go into brake 1, that's 10%. Then you go into brake 2, that's 20%, because it's 1, 10, and 10. So brake 3, it's 30%, 4, and so on and so forth. But by the time you get to the end of the brake segments over there, you have all, let's say, 8 brakes applying 80% stopping pressure. That's like when you come to the stoplight at a car. You push your foot down on the pedal and hold it there, and you put firm pressure on it. And then as you slow down, you gently start to ease up on that brake pedal because you're going slower and slower. You don't need much braking force. This will be the opposite. So imagine you come to a light and you're slowing down and you put your foot on the brake pedal, and then as you get closer to the light, you keep pushing harder and harder and harder and harder. And on a lot of rides, you get that, especially the older ones, when you come in and you come into the brakes, you go, and then at the very last minute, you're like, ugh, like, oh my gosh, that was rough. And then the brakes let you out. So this is an idea of trimming. It was actually something I thought about implementing on our ride to get rid of that big, that thud at the end, which was this exact thing, it seems like, where it goes in, it would go in like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then as it went into brake 5, it opened up brake 1. Brake 6, it opened up brake 2. Well, that would work as long as your pressure's high enough. So system pressure was down or the regulator was down. Probably the way this looks, I'm kind of thinking it was the system pressure was down, and they just sent it around because you can hear the brakes opening in sequence afterwards, which means the control system is still working. So it didn't know enough to not send the train over, which means it doesn't have good safety monitoring. So I think what we're looking at here is just a knockoff model with very minimal safety, and then low air pressure on top of that as it went through. Simply just not enough to stop. The ride probably worked great once they brought the air pressure back up. After it did this once, maybe twice, then they're like, whoops, let's turn the air pressure up. And they probably started the compressor up and got it up to a higher pressure, maybe did some adjustments in the brakes, and then they're like, okay, now it's stopping well. The other question I have on a video like this, if we go back to the beginning, where was it? It was at the beginning. It was right around here. Let's look. Look at the people around. They've got their cameras out too. So the ride, if it's new just to this particular place, when they're running it, okay, this is just them wanting to record the ride, which I understand that. But if these people have also worked on this ride and they know that they're about to send it around under minimal air pressure and they're unsure if it's going to stop in the station, maybe that's why they're recording. Because everything, even down to the station there, it sounded like the brakes applied. It just didn't have enough power to stop the train, which is a lack of air pressure being used on there. So that's my thoughts here. Very short video. I just kind of wanted to go over this. It's like, yep, it looks like China knockoff. Very little safety built into it, at least no air pressure monitoring built into the brake segments at all. And then low air pressure on top of that. Seems to be it. Otherwise, it looks like a rough ride. I'm Ryan the Ride Mechanic. As always, stay off the air gates. Bye.